Week 8, almost there. Can you believe it? Nice going. I do hope that when you encounter other courses or projects for work, whatever it might be, where you have to write a lot, you can think back on these 8 weeks and remember just how many pages you accomplished in a short amount of time. Discussion Forum 7, thank you to everyone for posting initially, but I'm a little disappointed to see that not everybody responded. So in doing that, you left a few of your peers hanging. I would step in and give you more comments, but I suspect that you probably have plenty of comments from me at this point. So those of you who did not get feedback, I'm sorry for that. If you are not earning the grade in this course that you were expecting, look to the discussion forums. All I was asking you to do was follow instructions and post on time. If you didn't post, you're not going to earn points. And if you didn't turn an essay in, that's going to bring you down remarkably. Or if you turned in an essay late, then you were graded down for that. So make sure that you're accessing the gradebook. If you look over on the left side of your screen, when you're on our course homepage, you'll see gradebook. Click on it. It's more than just your total. It's everything that we've done so far in this course and the grade that you've earned, so you can see exactly where you stand. I still need to grade Discussion Forum 7, and then of course we have Discussion Forum 8 coming up, and revisions of both Essay 2 and 3. Kolb model. If I've not said it before, let me say it again. It is not here to cause you pain. And I hope that you see that now that you are experienced writers of the Kolb model, that it's more than just the dictates of an essay format. It actually is a learning theory, a psychological theory, and something that I hope you will carry forward. So bear with me for a moment. I want you to think of something that you're not writing about in this class. Think of a moment in your life that threw you, something that happened that either derailed you or surprised you in some way, pushed you in a different course. For some of you, it might have been something painful, it might have been something surprising, anything. So are you with me? Think of an incident. Now I want you to think through the Kolb model, not writing it, not the pain of writing it, but just thinking through each of the pieces that David Kolb asks us to walk through in the cycle. If you take that moment that you're thinking of, and let's say you're standing before all of us in a classroom, and you're asked to talk about it as objectively as possible, as if it did not occur to you. There are no emotions attached, and you're simply telling us what happened. Do you see now the health in being able to do that? People who are deeply wounded, that is one of the biggest steps for them. To step away from section 2, which is when you put all those emotions back in there, to step away from that and actually be able to just talk about what happened without blaming anyone, without defending, without sobbing in some cases, without being angry, whatever the emotions might be. There is a lot of health in that and a lot of healing that can come from that. And then part 2, don't discount the emotions. So there's another brokenness, right, in going to part 1 and never returning to part 2. Let's just take those emotions and slam them away and never think about them. There's not health in that, so David Kolb asks that we bring them back in and then take some time to reflect on it. What were you thinking? What were you feeling? On occasion, I have people write about a business experience and say, I have no emotions here. I have nothing to write about in part 2, which always makes me laugh because I think if you're operating at work with zero emotions whatsoever, either you're shoving them down or something else potentially is wrong. So there are always emotions on some level, maybe not as extreme as others, but they're always there. Part 3, as you've experienced, is one of the most difficult because you have to actually stop and think about not only what did I learn, but how do I separate out different pieces of what I learned? I can't just say, yeah, I learned a lot, it was great, let's move on. What are the actual things that I learned? Are there other people who are talking about those things? What are they saying? Am I repeating them? And am I adding to their knowledge? Am I adding to the conversation that's already out there on the internet? And then part 4, take each of those learning moments and consider whether or not you might potentially use them in a new situation. You might have already used them in a new situation. So do you see how anything that happens in our lives, if we can learn to roll through the Kolb model just in living, I find the car is a really helpful place for these kinds of things to happen if you lead a busy life, as do I. the car, when you're commuting, it can be a good time to think through, all right, if I had to write this in an essay, and you might be thinking in that moment, thank goodness I don't, but if I had to write this in an essay, how might I walk through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? So I hope you will take away from this course, in addition to what I hope will be credits earned as you start to submit, I hope you will walk away with an understanding of the Kolb model. When you're ready to submit, look to the top of our course site. I'm going to go there now to make sure that I'm calling it the right thing for you. You will see a link to Prior Learning Assessment homepage. This is the third link on our course site. First thing you see is the syllabus. Second thing you see, PLA student guide. Third thing, Prior Learning Assessment homepage. Once you go there, click on that. And if you haven't looked through here, please do. Lots of helpful tips, information. Click on PLA student site, and here's where you're going to see instructions on how to submit. Please don't be mistaken and think that submitting to me is submitting to the university. It is not. Once you've completed this course, our time together is done. I've submitted your grades. You're completely done. And yes, you need a C- or better in this class in order to submit. Once you've completed, you have 12 months to get your stuff turned in. This is professional training submissions and essays both. Make sure you get them done in the 12 months. Get them submitted. These 3 that you've written, you have copious comments from me, probably way too many comments from me. Hopefully a lot of you, it's just going to take some quick edits before those are up and ready to submit. Click on this page, the Prior Learning Assessment homepage, on how to make that submission. If you have professional training submissions, we have not spent time on those in this class because this class is about how to write the essays. But if you click on how to do that, what you'll see is you're writing just an itty-bitty portion of the Kolb model, the learning outcomes, to demonstrate what your learning was. And the trick there is that you need to have some kind of certification to attach. If you have questions as you start to do this, you can certainly ask me way beyond when we're done with this course for the next 12 months or up until you graduate. Let me know if you have questions. If you go to the PLA homepage, you will also see Brittany Scholes listed there. So let me explain her role. When you submit, she's the one who receives it. She will look at what your experience was very briefly and then determine which professor or assessor would be most appropriate to read and assess your work. So she is sort of the person who catches it all and sends it back out. And then as they assess it and send it in, it'll come back to her, and then she will notify you of the credits that you have earned. So God bless you as you finish out this last week. I'm looking forward to those last 2 revised essays, and as always, let me know if you have questions. God bless.